Nucleus is the most conspicuous and the largest cell organelle. It is present in the eukaryotic cells and is visible underneath the compound microscope. But in order to see the fine details of the structure, we need the presence of electron microscope. The discovery of nucleus was done by Robert Brown in 1831 in the orchid cells. He could see the first nucleus in the cells of orchid flower. Now, in this course of discovery, there is one more thing which can be thought of. That is, you should think about the discovery of compound microscope. It was done by Anton van Leeuwenhoek, and he was also the person who observed the nucleus first time. What did he observe was it was a large structure which was visible inside a cell, and he could see it in the fish. The fish's RBCs, they are nucleated, and over there he could see the presence of nucleus in the RBC of the fish. It is also important to note that there are all the all the organisms, they have presence of this nuclear material confined in the nucleus. In case of eukaryotic cells, it is confined inside a cell with the help of nuclear membrane. So there is a central position over where it is present most of the times. Whereas in case of lower organisms like the prokaryotes, they also have presence of this similar kind of material, but it is known as nucleoid in case of prokaryotes, and it is not membrane bound. It does not has presence of nuclear membrane surrounding it or protecting it. So, this is quite important to remember that nucleoid is the nucleus of prokaryotic cells. There are various exceptions in case of presence or absence of the nucleus in various cells. All the cells must have presence of nucleus, be it a eukaryote or it is a prokaryote. But there are a few exceptions. The exceptions include the RBCs as well as sieve tube. The human RBC, they are devoid of nucleus, so that they become very large and they are capable of accommodating large, like four big molecules of oxygen for the transportation of oxygen to different parts of our body. So, with the loss of nucleus, because it's a very large organ and it is not required by the RBC, because it is once the RBC is mature, it has to die after 120 days. So, the futility is only for 120 days, and that much energy the RBC has to survive. So, that's why it doesn't need the nucleus anymore, because no repair is going to take place in the RBC if there is any default or if there is any defect in the structure. It will just get eradicated from the bloodstream if it is not capable of performing its tasks properly. So, reason why RBC is lost in case of RBC, human RBC or human mature RBC, is in order to accommodate large number of oxygen molecules, and also because it has a very small lifespan of just 120 days. Second exception is of sieve tube. If you remember, these sieve tubes are the part of phloem. And what is a phloem? It's a complex tissue, plant complex tissue. Xylem and phloem. Xylem is responsible for transmission of water, whereas phloem is important for food conducting. And this food conduction can be seen, or because of this process of conducting food, the sieve tubes in most of the flowering plants, they lose their nuclei when they mature. But these sieve tubes, they can be functional without the nucleus for few years, and then after they lose or they disintegrate, new sieve tubes are formed later on. So it's quite important that both these cells, they are losing their nucleus after attaining maturity, so that they become much more differentiated, or they are capable, or they become capable of performing their task much more efficiently. So that's why the loss of nucleus takes place in both the structures. The number of the various types of nucleus which can be present in different cells. Most of the cells, they are uninucleated. It means they have presence of a single nucleus. For example, you can think about most of the cells which we have, like squamous cells or columnar cells, they have just one nucleus within them, right? Now similarly, some cells can be binucleated. If you remember the structure of paramecium, we had studied about the structure, and also we had discussed, if you remember the structure of paramecium, it was this kind of structure, bean shaped kind of structure, and it had presence of cilia throughout its body. And other than the presence of cilia, there were structures, two structures. One was macronucleus, which was large, and one was a micronucleus, which was small in size. Now, because of presence of two different kinds of nucleus, one was vegetative nucleus, which was not at all going to give rise to the future generation, or no transmission of genetic characters was going to take place with the help of that nucleus. That was vegetative one, which was just there for controlling the body movements or controlling various other activities of the organism. Whereas in the smaller nucleus, that was responsible for the division or binary fission of the organism. So in that way, these both the this organism paramecium can be said to be a, or paramecium is known as a binucleated organism, or it has presence of two number of nucleus, and it is a kind of protozoan. So this is important. There are also various cells which have presence of multi-nucleus. They are multinucleated in the sense that they have presence of large number of nucleus within themselves. Certain examples can be thought of, like muscle cells. Muscle cells, most of the muscle cells, they have presence of large number of, yeah, like large number of nucleus within them. They can be muscle fibers, or sometimes vessels. They also have large number of nucleus within them. These multinucleated cells, they are formed in a single structure. That structure is known as syncytia. For example, if you think of um, opalina, okay, opalina is a kind of protozoan, and it becomes multinucleated by repeated nuclear divisions and without undergoing cytoplasmic division. So no cytoplasmic division is taking place, only the structure is there. Think about a single structure. This is suppose a opalina. It is actually oval shaped structure. It has a oval shaped structure, and it has a nucleus. Now this nucleus, suppose it was one nucleus, now this nucleus pinches off to form 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, multiple number of nucleus within the entire opalina body. And as because only the nucleus is dividing, cytoplasm is not dividing at all, so the same cell is now having many number of nucleus, and this condition is known as coinocytic condition. Suppose if you remember, this same structure used to, the same condition can be seen in even plasmodium. And if not plasmodium, you can remember about, there are various cells which show similar kind of differentiation. If you remember the example of any big cell, most of the large cells, they form these multinucleated structures. The molds, especially the amoeba, if you can remember, the amoeba, it undergoes similar kind of syncytial formation when there is unfavorable condition. So in the unfavorable condition, a cyst is formed around it, and then after, the nucleus goes on dividing without the division of cytoplasm, and that condition is known as syncytia. Later on, we can also discuss about the next term, which is coinocytic. If you remember the fungi, we had discussed about the coinocytic mycelium. So a single mycelium used to be there, and when fusion, the mushrooms, over there we studied about coinocytic mycelium. And the same mycelium, it undergoes formation of cross walls, and because of formation of cross walls, there is plus as well as minus strain present in the same cell, and that is a koinocytic condition. Normally, when we think about a nucleus, it is present within the center of a cell. That is the usual position of a nucleus. But at times, we see that the presence of nucleus can be shifted from one place to another. For example, if you think about a plant cell, plant cell has its nucleus being pushed towards one of the corner because a large vacuole is present inside a plant cell, which occupies almost the entire structure or entire shape of the cell. The reason why the plant cell has presence of, what is the reason behind having the presence of vacuole in a plant cell, and such a large vacuole in case of a plant cell? So that's a question. I hope I will get the answer in the comment box. Now, these plant cells, because of their large size vacuole, the nucleus is present at the periphery. Similarly, in case of gland cells, you will see the presence of nucleus at the base. If this is the entire gland cell, and think about the nucleus, it may be present at the base. This is seen in case of most of the other cells. Adipose tissue has peripheral nucleus present. Adipose tissue means the fatty tissue. They have presence of nucleus at its periphery because large amount of fatty acids are present inside the cell, so the nucleus is also pushed towards one of the corners. The form, shape of the nucleus may be related to the shape of the cell. Now, nucleus can be spherical, it can be rounded or cylindrical or even disc shaped, flat, in case of various organisms. Depending on the different kind of organism, the kind of nucleus or size of form structure of the nucleus also varies. If a cell is flat, then we can expect that the nucleus can also be flat. If the cell is spherical, then the nucleus can be spherical. Similarly, if the cell is cylindrical, the nucleus can also be cylindrical. It is all dependent on the shape of the cell. Sometimes the nucleus can be lobed in case of, if you think about the leukocytes, they had lobed nucleus like neutrophils, basophils. Basophils didn't had the lobed nucleus, but yeah, it 2 to 3 lobes used to be there for basophils. Neutrophils can be 3 to 5 lobed. So different eosinophils used to have 2 lobes. So these are certain examples of forms or different shape of nucleus which can be present in different cells. If you think about the squamous cells, they are they have presence of flat nucleus within it. The cuboidal cells, columnar cuboidal cells of the respiratory tract, they have rounded nucleus. There are various columnar, ciliated columnar cells in the respiratory tract. They have oval shaped nucleus. Paramecium, we have seen the structure is kind of oblong or bean shaped, so the nucleus is also bean shaped in case of paramecium. Similarly, in case of muscle cells, if you remember the structure of muscle cells, they have presence of elongated. The structure of muscle cell is also elongated. This kind of structure is there for muscle cell. Similar is the condition of the nucleus. Nucleus in this case is elongated in the case of muscle cells. So as the shape, as is the size or shape of the cell, so is the size of the or shape of the nucleus. So structure of nucleus as well as structure of the cell is quite proportional to each other. They are quite similar to each other. Size of the nucleus, it can vary with the different organisms or different cell types. For example, if you think about the number of chromosome set which it has. Now, for example, think that there is a relationship which is existing between the nuclear mass and the cytoplasmic mass in a cell type. If you remember, cell always divides when the nucleus is to cytoplasm ratio. I have always been saying nucleus is to cytoplasm ratio, or whenever it is exceeding 1, then the cell has to undergo division because the nuclear material is now way too much and it cannot be accommodated within a single cell. So that's the reason for division. So size of the nucleus is also related to the number of chromosomes in it has, and if the cell has haploid number of cells, then the nucleus is small. When it becomes polyploid or diploid, that time the nucleus size is increasing, and similarly the cell is in the verge of going to divide. So this has to be kept in mind. The size here, when the size of nucleus we are talking about n is to p ratio. Sorry, it is not n is to p. Yeah, nuclear mass, that is nucleoplasmic content, is to cytoplasmic content ratio we are talking about. So when this content, or when nucleoplasm is to cytoplasm ratio, it exceeds 1, then the cell a is on the verge of dividing, or it gets prepared for the cell division to start, initiate. So mitosis begins after that. If you remember the entire cell cycle, so what are different phases of cell cycle, what are the different stages, and name a cell which stays at G0 phase, which never undergoes cell cycle. So this question also I would like to have the answer. If you think about the structure of the nucleus, it's a very large structure with almost 5 very important structures. First of all, if we see the structure of the nucleus, it has an outer membrane and an inner membrane. This makes it an organelle having two membranes. So it is a double membrane bound structure. You can see the pores present, that is known as a nuclear pore. That is the site from where the proteins which are formed inside the nucleus can move out. Nucleolus is a structure which is present like a core inside a nucleus. Nucleolus, see the spelling difference is there. Nucleolus is present inside a nucleus, and it is a core of the nucleus, but it performs certain functions, and the basic function is production of proteins. You can see the black threads which are suspended inside the structure of nucleus. It is said to be the chromatin threads, and they become visible only when the interphase is going to start. That is the first phase over where the chromatin fiber they start condensing. Inside the nucleus is presence of plasmosome as well as karyolymph. Karyo means, the division of nucleus is also known as karyokinesis. The reason why it is called karyokinesis is karyon gets divided. The karyonucleus or karyolymph also gets divided during the process. So nucleus division is known as karyokinesis, and karyon is known as the nucleus. Heterochromatin, it is the region, the darkly stained region in the case of chromatin thread is known as a heterochromatin. There's another also kind of chromatin that is known as euchromatin. We'll be studying in details about each of these structures, but for now, let us focus on these all few structures. First of all, the entire structure in details. There are basically 5. Nucleus consists of big 5 types of organelles within itself, suborganelles within itself. It is bounded by nuclear envelope or karyotheca. There is presence of karyolymph inside it, which is filled. The nucleus is filled with the karyolymph. It is a fluid which is present within itself, or jelly kind of fluid which is present within itself. There are presence of various fibers which are known as nucleoprotein filaments or nucleoprotein fibers, generally known as chromatin fibers, which are suspended again in the matrix of the nucleus. And nucleus also consists of a nucleolus, which is the core structure present, core globular rounded body which is present inside the nucleus. There are various functions of these all parts, and we will be studying their details soon. The composition, the chemical composition of nucleus is as such that it contains 80% of protein, so maximum percentages of protein. Then is the presence of DNA, next is RNA, and lipids is the minimum. So if you think about, then arises a question to our mind: what are the substances which are forwarded from a cell when or which are forwarded from the nucleus when a cell is undergoing division? The entire nucleus is the protein, DNA, RNA, as well as lipids. All of it is all of it forwarded to the next generation, or only something from these all is forwarded? So this is also the third question which I would like to ask you all.